Welcome to another edition of Earache's Garage. So, after much consternation, to put it lightly, the twin cam engine is in the Evo. Let me, let's see here. Let's see, we'll do this one. And we'll come in here, and there she sits, primary, and its bolts, yeehaw, and just, oh, you guys know, that cover's getting replaced, but I left it in for the time being, and we're still wrapped up in here, and we're still plugged, but there it is. That made the magic happen. But if you look really close down in there, right where my finger's pointing, really, really close. I don't know if it's going to focus. Well, I get to explain that in just a second here. So, after having had the, let's see, how about this one? After having had the wrong bracket, I got the right bracket. And I installed it. And my primary bolt holes and the didn't line up, and the lip for the engine case to inner primary where the O-ring sits wasn't mating up. And a couple of days of scratching my head and many expletives, and that's an understatement. Believe me, it's an understatement. It finally dawned on me why I was having this problem. And it was rotated upwards. When I first met this bike, it had a very nasty primary leak, and upon disassembly of the primary drive, I found that all four, the two rear and the two front motor mount bolts, had come loose. So the motor sank down in the back, so the rear edge of the engine case was sitting on the back side of the mount, the aluminum mount on the transmission, which ate it away. So when I bolted in the new bracket that was supposed to be flat, it went blip. And so I was wondering, I didn't realize that until today as far as the where. I just knew the what. And so last night I'm figuring out, trying to figure out how am I going to cure this. I got to measure the space. I can loosen the bolts and drop it down, and everything mates up. So I got in there with a feeler gauge to figure out how much this do I got to make up. And it dawned on me, I was holding the spacer. I got one of my old school feeler gauge sets out. It has a screw that holds them together so they pivot instead of the new crap that they got now that's got a rivet. And I disassembled it. And at 8 o'clock this morning, I began with a 24 thousandths. And then disassembled it all, because that wasn't it. I disassembled it all, and I cut that in half, 12 thousandths. And it was closer. Then I went 10, 8, 6. I was going to do 4, but that one was broken in the set. So I put the 3 in there. And you know what they say about 3s? Third time's a charm. Well, so 3's a charm, because that did it. 8 o'clock to about 4 o'clock. Well, about 10 to 4. 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was assembling and disassembling, assembling, disassembling, test fitting the cover, pulling the cover off, disassembling, reassembling, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Oh my gosh. I'm like an ace at this now. So, it will live. That's the only thing that was holding me back, was that inner primary. And so now I got to take it all back apart again, because it's just test fitted right now. I have to remove all the bolts and for that bracket, 2 to the trans and then 4 to the case, and have to apply Loctite and torque correctly. And then I can reassemble the primary with a seal in there, and the I don't know if anybody was quick enough to notice that the tab washers that lock the inner primary bolts in place aren't in there. This is just a test fit. But it has test fitted correctly. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh my goodness gracious. This has caused me a lot of stress. And it was a lot of effort to make that work. But as we see here, the twin cam engine is now in the Evolution frame with the bolts in there. That motor does not belong in there. However, that right here, the silver piece here, that's not a Harley part. That is to put this motor, the twin cam, 1 cam, 2 cam, in place of where that motor, the Evolution motor with the single cam, used to live. And so after weeks of lots and lots and lots of trouble and lots of scratching my head, and it is the hole. Uh-oh, my connection bugged out in the garage there. Oh, my connection bugged out. It said, oh, now, ta-da, I'm back. My connection bugged out. So, after much consternation and, as I said earlier, multiple expletives, it is in there. It's all test fit. I just have to disassemble, Loctite the bolts, and then I can finish the conversion. And this will be the only 98 Road King with a twin cam in it on the roads of Wisconsin. And let's hope this brings me much more work. And the next project that's coming is a 1968 shovel pan. So when they first put the shovel head on a big twin engine, before they made the big twin cases. And so I'll have that here. That's going to be an original spec finish the restoration that somebody else began and was unable to complete. And I'll definitely be taking a lot of pictures of that one. All right, Ryan, I see that you're watching. Hey, no politics. just saying. Love you, brother. Hey, I'm going to go take a peek at the early part of this. I showed the engine and stuff better. What gave me the trouble was that the old motor had been loose in there when I first met the bike and fixed a primary drive leak on it, and it wore on an angle the rear motor mount where it sits on the it's actually on the part of the transmission. So when I bolted the new engine in there, it rotated it upwards, and my primary cover did not mate up. And as I was messing around last night trying to figure out how much spacer I need, I realized I was holding the spacer in my hand. So I have a feeler gauge stuck in the back side of that to tilt it back to what it's supposed to be. So everything made it up. This has been a couple of weeks in the garage, which is not my norm. I ordered the wrong bracket to begin with. Oops, my bad. So I bought the correct bracket. Same price, but my bad is my cost. I won't pass that to a customer. I ain't like that. So this will be completed by the end of the week, and I'll have more video showing it putting in the driveway, and there's no bracket for my phone, so I can't show it going down the road. But it will definitely be out in the driveway, probably Saturday, Sunday, if all goes well, which it should. I have to remove the fuel injection wiring and the computer from the bike because it no longer needs it. I have a box that will use the crank sensor on that motor to make my spark, and it's got its own wire harness. This way I don't have any hot wires floating around that shouldn't be hot, which could be a really bad thing. And the customer's going to be very happy because just a crank and rods, a flywheel set for that Evo motor's $1,500. And I got a complete twin cam motor, which will be able to live twice as long as any rebuilt Evo motor. I got it with 18,000 miles on it and a 90-day warranty. We've probably used almost, by the time it's done, I'll have 3 weeks of that warranty gone. But the twin cam motors go for anywhere from 100, 150,000 without any major issues, as long as you don't mess with the cams in it. High lift, long duration tends to cause problems with the inner bearings in the case. They beef up everything on the outboard side, but they do nothing for the inboard side. As long as you leave the stock cams in them, they run like a top forever and ever and ever. Back when I was working Harley on the first generation twin cams, I was doing 100, 120,000 mile services on them with no problems whatsoever in them. So it'll be a very happy customer. And he rides with a motorcycle ministry, so maybe I'll get some other Evos out of that for business. But this will be the only twin cammed Evolution Road King. Calling it Earache. All right. Love you, brother. Talk with you later. Gotta sign off. You've been ear-ached at Earache's Garage. I always say it at the end.